here in a moment. This is Wilson Fisk. I've made mistakes. I'm Shannon Elliott, and I have a master's in film and media, and I'm also legally blind and love the blind lawyer and the guy who's always pummeling him.
Hey guys, my name is Michael Collins. I am a theory prognosticator and dad joke enthusiast for the Fandom Hybrid podcast. We do Marvel, fantasy, and convention culture podcasts.
Hi, my name's Ken. I have a Best Buy rewards card. I profoundly believe that boneless chicken wings is just chicken nuggets. You know, spread the truth. Spread that truth.
Yes.
All right. It's just a way to charge you an extra $2. Then they bogart the sauces, but yeah, that's who I am. Oh, and I do stuff on the internet too.
What makes you folks think Wilson Fisk is sympathetic, since that's the gist of this? Hello?
Hello. Kelly had me in as an alternate.
Oh, cool.
And it was very last minute, so just,
Oh, all right.
Sorry about
Here, we'll just shuffle. Go ahead. Introduce yourself, last minute alternate.
Hi, my name is Last Minute Alternate.
You're here.
All right.
We have more people too. My name is Last Minute Alternate. My parents have a very weird sense of humor, but it's as if my entire life has been leading up to this moment.
Oh, down there? Okay.
To be fair, we just got enough credits to unlock him, so that's why he finally showed up.
Yeah.
We needed some gameplay
I
cards.
am a DLC. So, my name is Joshua Lapin-Bertone. I'm an entertainment writer and marketing consultant. I provide content for DC's official website, but we're here to talk Marvel. And for Marvel stuff, I handle the Marvel beat on the entertainment website Popverse, where I write about different Marvel stuff each week, what's going on with the comics, guides, Easter eggs, those, whenever a movie or TV show comes out, it's something, ending explained. I'm the guy that does those, and I'm here to talk some Kingpin.
Yay.
Hi, I'm Eternal Zan, and I'm a longtime DragonCon attendee. And sorry I was a couple of minutes late, I needed to use the ladies. Did we talk about the charity yet?
Not yet. We were introducing ourselves.
Okay, I'll just talk a little bit about the charity for those of you that are new to DragonCon. They choose a charity each year to support, and they do matching. And this year it's the Arthritis Foundation, and it's the charity bucket for donations in the back corner of the room there. Excellent, back there.
This is, we didn't get a bucket this year, we have a box.
A box.
Box.
We have we're special, we get a box.
Box of dollars.
Those losers with buckets. Anyway, so by matching, I mean if collectively we raise $125,000, then DragonCon will contribute an equal amount, which means the Arthritis Foundation will get $250,000. So if you have any extra change, you don't want, take it home, or a few extra dollar bills, you can drop it in the bucket on the way out. And on a personal note, I was diagnosed with arthritis at the age of 2, and there's over 100 forms of arthritis. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Not all of us love gardening, as the commercials would have you believe. We are a diverse group of people, and I feel like sometimes there's a perception of arthritis that there's not much that can be done for it, and I can say from personal experience that is not true. I have seen a lot of progress in my lifetime with treatments for arthritis. So if you know anybody that has that, please encourage them to go to the doctor. There is a little bit of trial and error, but doctors can help you be better with arthritis.
Yeah, next year's charity will be to ban ranch dressing. That's a cause I feel dearly about, and I will be supporting that as well.
I will be opposing you.
I will be opposing you as well.
That's okay. A lot of people like to fight in vain.
I'm on the fence.
I'm with you on that
It's a
one.
blue cheese house over here.
Me too.
Sorry, what was the question?
It was about the panel or in life in general? No. What do you folks think makes Kingpin sympathetic to get the ball rolling on the topic, I guess?
The only really thing that makes him sympathetic is his upbringing. Most people like to think maybe if he wasn't treated the way he was as a child, what would he have come out as? But I mean, that's really the only thing that you can really feel sorry for him for, because he's now so ruthless. It's like he doesn't really have that many redeeming qualities.
Yeah, I don't really see him as, that's one thing I do like about him, is that he's not sympathetic. He's just a moving force, who just imposes his will. And it's either you get in line, or you get down, or you lay down in that sense. So he's just one of the purest representation of just power in our current modern dynamic. So that's one of the reasons I like him.
Yours coming costume.
I get closer. Okay.
I think what makes him sympathetic is not only his upbringing, but there are moments when you can see what he's trying to do for Hell's Kitchen might be for the greater good, but not necessarily he's going about it in the best ways. But I think also, if you look at his responses to when he is treated poorly or when he is embarrassed, it shows there's something deeper going on inside his brain. And I think anyone who has been treated, like the date scene right before he bashes the guy's head in with a car door, you can see his visceral response because he just wants to do normal things, but somehow he keeps being blocked from just being a normal man.
Well, and like you said, pointed out to his upbringing, you notice, especially how he grew up, he values loyalty over everything, and he's willing to die and defend all the people that he put inside of his circle, like James and Vanessa. So he's fiercely loyal and will do whatever he can for those people. But you just have to have that same mentality when working for him. I like it because he's a functioning sociopath in a sense, because it's clear that he knows what he's doing and his intent behind what he's doing.
But I think also, because we were talking about Echo the other day, there are like the only two people I think he actually cares about and aren't using as pawns are James Wesley and Vanessa. And you can see that in his response to when bad things happen to them. But if you look at when a bad thing happens to Echo, he's like, my tool has been hurt. And it's not actually someone he truly cares about in his heart of hearts.
Well,
Okay, I want to go back to the greater good thing really quick. That is a red flag for me. Whenever somebody says they're doing something for the greater good or for the children, it's usually some like horrible thing they're doing that I don't think the children would want you to do, and does not actually seem to be for the greater good. So whenever I hear that, especially with like a figure that's like standing shrouded in darkness with the creepy bad guy music. I mean, sometimes there's just so many layers to the scene that I'm like, this is not for the greater good.
Yeah, and also I don't trust the fact that Kingpin isn't doing things for something that's going to benefit him down the road, because that's just who he is. He's kind of has a Lex Luthor level mentality about doing one thing for it to benefit another thing down the road, and he always has another plan in case something goes wrong. I mean, he's a people don't realize in addition to being super strong and incredibly adept at beating your ass, he can outsmart you too.
Yeah.
He's a very smart guy.
You had something?
Yeah, just to go back to the question that you asked about why he could be found sympathetic, I think that so much credit goes to Vincent D'Onofrio. He plays the role with so much vulnerability where, like, this guy can, like you said, smash someone's head into a car door, but then when he looks pained, and like Vincent D'Onofrio just has those puppy dog eyes, like, your heart goes out to him, and then you have to, like, turn on the other part of your man. It's like, nah, this guy's killing people and doing a lot of harm. But Vincent D'Onofrio does show the Kingpin's vulnerable side and, like, gives him this, kind of multi-layered characterization where he is the monster of Hell's Kitchen. He is the person doing all this stuff, but you also feel bad for him because you see that, like, he just wants, in some cases it's just he wants to be loved, but he doesn't know how to do it because his childhood was so messed up, like what he saw happen with his mother and his father and everything. He doesn't know how to love, and you kind of see some of that in Echo a little bit, where like he is a horrible, horrible father figure to Maya. He is Like, and then just like, oh, I got this device so I don't have to learn sign language. That is so insensitive.
Well, we
But
brought
how
that
long
up.
how long had you known her? And
Her
he
whole
has-
life, and
yeah,
we
her
brought
whole
that
life.
up.
And he knows basic things. I mean, I know more sign language than he does.
Right, and that's why he's a horrible father. But in his mind, he's like, he thinks that he's doing this like grand thing for her, like because he doesn't know how to love. That's
Yeah.
Well,
that's what it is.
I think part of what comes into it is he views Maya as a tool. He doesn't actually view her as his daughter, because you can see in the scene when she takes the hammer to the guy's head, he's like, ah, this is me, and I can shape this into the next me, but not really, because he keeps promising her power and never gives her power, because he doesn't view her the same way he would view Vanessa or Wesley.
Yeah, I think
Well-
if he viewed her as a daughter, he would be protective towards her. He would want to protect her.
Well, no, because he does the same thing with Bullseye later on in the series as well. He's like, you have a purpose, you have this ability, and I can use it and exploit it, but that's just the way that he operates as a person. Like I said, I don't think he knows how to physically connect with people, so he rationalizes it to a way so that it makes sense to him, so that he can get with it. And that's one of his biggest superpowers, is that he knows how to read people. So he knows how to turn the city against Matt Murdock. He knows how to crush his law firm. He knows how to do this because he knows how to find your weakness and exploit it.
And even in the comics, he's a horrible father too. Like, he loves his son Richard, but he's tried to kill Richard many times because, nothing is more important to him than power and his ego, and he doesn't know how to love.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, when you were talking about how he sees himself, that I feel like a lot of bad guys, and actors that play bad guys or villains will talk about how their character doesn't see themselves as the villain, and that they play it that they're just trying to do the right thing, and that they have to break some rules and be harsh in order to accomplish their goal, which they see as for the greater good. So that bad guys don't usually see themselves as bad. And I thought it was really interesting that in Kingpin's arc, he acknowledges that he's the bad guy. Because I think in the beginning we very clearly get the impression he sees himself as the good guy, but eventually he changes his mind on that. And I thought that was really interesting for his character and for his arc, because once he has that self-realization and says it out loud, the whole story about the Samaritan, then in a way I think that kind of gives him license, like he's giving himself license to be even more extreme in what he'll do to accomplish his goal.
I think a lot of that has to do with embarrassment, because even in the comic books, every time something that embarrasses him happens, he goes further down the path of being this horrific person, because he can't handle not being the best at something or not having things go just the way he plans. Like, in one of the most current runs, he finds out people were having him run for political office just to make fun of him behind their back, and he beats a man to death in a bathroom, and Wesley has to cover it up, because otherwise it's just going to ruin his opportunity to get into office.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get everything. Of course, goes back to him, his upbringing, his dad beating him constantly, and just him and that doggone painting. It's like that's one of the things that I didn't think would be something that I remembered him for. But it's like the whole first season, when he gets the painting and he stares at the painting, then he gets put, then he's in jail and he looks at the plaster on the walls of his cell, and it's like you realize that a lot of times he just needs peace at some point. Like he just needs that one moment where he can just not be Kingpin and just look at a wall and just like kind of get himself together.
Well, I feel like the show played into like the blank slate trope with him very well, because he doesn't start wearing the iconic white suit really until post prison, when they make him wear the white jumpsuit as a symbol of, you haven't been here long enough and you don't have any power. So he turns that on its head in the show once he gets out.
What did you think about his the cuffs? what are they called?
Cufflinks?
The cufflinks, yeah, what did you think about the cufflinks?
I think it's a reminder for him of the first time he took power from his father, because he doesn't take them until after he beats his father
Yeah,
to death.
it's a primal representation that he became a man, that he was able to conquer that aspect of his life and eventually to just take that position as head. So yeah, it's a reminder of the day he quote unquote became a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also a reminder of how he saved his mom and stuff too. I think he views it that way, and it's a reminder of where he came from. I think that he has to keep things in perspective, but as we
Yeah.
see throughout the series, he's not very good at keeping things in perspective.
No.
He's kind of, the horse is kind of, gone off the cliff.
And the cufflinks look good too. They fly. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it goes with a lot of his wardrobe. When he opened the closet, cufflinks.
By the way, those flashbacks, when I saw them in season 1, it was very weird for me because the kid that plays young Wilson Fisk, he was the star of this like sitcom on Disney Channel where like it was this very like this kid who was like living with a puppet and they were always getting into mischief. And now I'm seeing the same kid on Netflix like killing his dad. I was like, oh wow. Crash and Bernstein, the new season is really weird.
That puppet turned him.
Yeah, dude. Actually, that was the point of the show. That like the puppet was like a bad influence on him. Like, if you're ever gonna go on YouTube, look up like Crash and Bernstein, and just remember that this kid is Kingpin. It's really weird.
The puppet's name wasn't Wesley, was it?
No.
This is a Disney show? Disney gonna change.
and now they're all Disney owned Marvel by
Skip
now.
it,
That's right.
sing it.
Yeah, like it's all the same continuity. Crash and Bernstein is a Daredevil prequel.
Do you think there are any redeeming qualities to what Kingpin is trying to do in the show, or that there could be?
Yeah, so I actually think what he's doing is more effective than what Matt is doing. I think Matt just has anger issues that he just takes to the streets.
Well, they're both daddy issues.
Well,
Okay, I want to get some clarification. What do we think Kingpin is actually trying to accomplish? Because honestly, that was a little unclear to me.
I think he's trying to clean up Hell's Kitchen in a similar way to Matt, but going about it differently because
But like, what does that mean to him?
So-
Because clearly it
I
means something
think-
than it does to Matt Murdock.
I think with Matt, it's more this is these people's homes and someone is buying up the property and trying to price them out. It's very much a cleanup of, and I'm from San Francisco and I got priced out of that town. So I think Matt Murdock is trying to keep Hell's Kitchen like the way it always has been, a place for people who are not going to be able to survive in the rest of New York to be able to have a place where they don't have to struggle as much.
and inversely, I think Kingpin is taking it from another level where he's like, okay, look, organized crime means that crime is organized.
Yeah.
If I can get everybody in line, I can there's still gonna be crime no matter what.
Harm
But
minimization.
But we can, exactly. We can compartmentalize it to where the effect is minimalized, and we can have this here, this here, this here, this here. Is it going to be a perfect system? No. But since Matt has worn the suit, what really has he changed? And it's like every night you go out and you save this one person just for them to be back on the street in 2 weeks. Like what's his name? Turk.
Yeah, I think it was.
Was his name Turk?
Which guy?
The guy who is a gun runner, and he was
Yeah,
like,
the
"I'll
gun
be back
runner.
out on the street tomorrow."
He gets caught in every Netflix series. He's like, I'm gonna be out in 2 weeks. And he's like, okay, so Matt, what exactly are you doing? I mean, you give him 3 meals and a hot cot for a night, and then he comes back to the streets.
Well, to be fair, Turk is a CI, so it's like he's basically an informant. So it wouldn't behoove them to get him locked up for 10 years because they wouldn't get the information that he has.
I
Granted,
also think Matt is more aware of like the dirty cop structure within Hell's Kitchen, and
100%.
and I don't think Wilson is as aware of, like, he's aware of how many dirty cops there are, but I don't think he's aware of how.
He's aware
Yeah,
because he pays
bought
them.
the
Because he,
cops.
yes, he's
So
aware
knows
because he
they're
pays
dirty.
them,
He
but I don't
purchased
think
them.
he realizes that is impacting the harm reduction he is trying to do within the city.
So basically, we think Kingpin wants to be a good landlord?
Pretty
I
much.
mean, would you want Kingpin,
I
raise
can
your
show-
hand if you want Kingpin to be your landlord.
Well, I will say this because you can actually see, they actually demonstrate this in the scene where the Punisher is there. So when the Punisher goes to prison, if you guys notice, the prison runs like a well-oiled machine. Everybody moves to the beat of his drum. When he snaps their fingers, they're moved. There's not a lot of incidental violence that's going on until he sicks them all onto to Frank. And that's when everybody comes out the woodwork and start attacking Frank in unison. So you can see a clear representation there that everything in the prison moved like a clockwatch.
Yeah, but
Like
wouldn't
someone.
Frank get it? I mean, I feel like if Frank was gonna be a target, like Frank was gonna be attacked whether or not Kingpin was there. You think Kingpin prevented the attack on Frank?
No. Actually,
He
he made it more
instigated.
effective.
Until he ordered, he was like, don't attack him until I say.
He made it more effective because there would have been different organizations within a prison who would have had their own motivations, and there could have been infighting amongst them about who would have got to Frank first.
Basically,
Okay, yeah,
he's
that makes sense. I get
Basically,
that.
he's using the prison as a blueprint for how he wants Hell's Kitchen
Exactly.
to be
Yeah.
run. Like he has everybody where he's supposed to be, and when he tells them to move to a certain place, they move to a certain place. And it's just like with the cops that he's bought, like he knows what's going on in the streets, and
Yeah.
he knows where everybody's doing. He's like, well, you can't deal drugs over here anymore, and you need to take your robberies uptown because you're hurting this business that I bought. So, and he organizes these things so that Hell's Kitchen can become the utopia that he's looking for it to be. And it's like, it doesn't matter, even if you can't afford it and you are priced out, sorry, but this is not your vision. This is Fist's vision. He doesn't care about anyone else's vision about it. He wants his vision.
And I think if we get the arc we're all suspecting we're gonna get in Born again, it'll be really interesting to see what happens.
No, we're getting Mayor Fist, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
we're
about.
getting Mayor Fist.
Like, spoiler alert, like, he's gonna run for mayor and he's going to win. Like, because, that's just
Because
what
if he
happens.
lost, that would be horrible storytelling.
Yeah. But it gets real wild in the comics when he becomes mayor. Like,
Yeah, it's like they're like Matt actually teams up with him at a point.
yeah,
It's like,
But-
it's crazy.
because there are bigger threats.
And
coming.
don't forget, he had that kind of crisis of conscience at the end of Echo too, so
Yeah.
that's gonna play into whatever's going on with him in Daredevil Born Again.
Well,
'cause-
because this question came up, like, because she healed part of his soul. What happens when you heal, like, a psychopath, sociopath, part of that soul that they may be missing? Are they gonna be used to those emotions?
Well, yeah,
Or
I
are
have
they
a lot
gonna-
of respect for Vanessa, because I got the feeling like she wants to take over.
Well, when you heal a psychopath's soul, you ruin the show. That's what happens.
Well, no, like, because I think you can think about it, because that person isn't going to be used to having emotions that they're going
Right.
to start having. And how do you respond as someone who's lived 40 or 50 years without having the standard emotions of a mentally well person?
Oh yeah, he's lashing out.
Yeah, he's gonna lash out. It's going to be like a 400-pound toddler with violence.
No one is safe with their head near an escalator.
I think he's
everybody.
always had emotions because like you don't slam a guy, you don't say you embarrass me in front of Vanessa.
Yeah, but
like,
he was able to tamp them down.
Yeah.
Now that Echo has released that, he can't like really control it.
But
Yeah, because he's not going to have like the blank slate, okay, let's go back to normal and handle business now. He's going to have like a different response to how he typically handles everything.
he might have
Is
more
Echo getting a
empathy.
season 2? Do we know that? Is that
I don't
unknown?
think that,
No.
I hope so.
I think it's likely, but it hasn't been. Marvel plays things very close to the chest about like if shows are getting like season 2s or not,
Okay,
and a
so
lot
they
of these
haven't-
things
I
are
was
leakers.
having
Okay, so they
my
haven't said
comic
either way
signed
yet.
by Vincent
Not yet.
D'Onofrio, and people kept telling him how much they liked Echo, and he was very surprised that people like Echo. So I don't,
I love
oh,
Echo.
well, because the internet hate kind of drowned all that out.
yeah, but he was just like, you liked Echo? And I was like, lots of people liked Echo. There was a whole panel on how much people liked
Yeah,
Echo.
squeaky wheel gets the grease. It's like
Yeah.
if the people who like him, even if they're in the minority, are loud enough, act like if they're loud enough, then bad things happen to that show.
Yeah.
So
But going to the whole healing, I think that kind of strips off his agency of what we know as the Kingpin, because going back to the earlier shows, especially Daredevil, one of the scenes that sticks out to me is when he meets Madame Gao for the first time. And if you guys know, Madame Gao is a member of the Hand. And she's sitting there with such reverence and respect for him because she's like, everybody sees you and just sees you as this physical specimen and this violence machine. But because when he was, I think Wesley was speaking and translating, she was like, I know you speak Mandarin. Why are you playing this game with me? And she recognized that he's a lot smarter than he lets on, and that makes him the most dangerous person in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. And again, he knows Mandarin, but he doesn't know ASL.
Because it doesn't suit his purpose.
Yeah.
I know. It just boggles my mind. That just like,
Again, I think it goes back to him viewing certain people as his family and others, like Echo, Maya, or even Bullseye, as tools and not as the people he cares about, because you can see that somewhere deep down he does care about people, because he kisses Wesley after Wesley's been dead. Like, he kisses his forehead, like, goodbye, and now I'm going to go on this rage-filled, like...
Well, not just that, but when Karen decides to taunt him, it was like, oh yeah, I was the one who took out your boy, and then he was like, I'm gonna rip your skin off your body.
You're finished. Hot take, though, that people are going to disagree with me on. I think it was a mistake to kill Wesley off, and I say that as someone who's like...
no, 100%, I agree.
No, you needed to do that. You need to...
See, no, because there's so much more interesting storytelling, like, and I don't like being... But in the comics, Wesley serves a purpose for Fisk, as in, not necessarily, not a fall guy, but his cleanup man. And if Wilson Fisk doesn't have his cleanup man that he has, like, an actual emotional attachment to, the storytelling becomes harder, I think.
Well,
Do you think he would have ever used Wesley as a fall guy, or does he in the comics?
He does
No,
not. Wesley is like his right hand, his like, oh no, like the name of the panel, I have made mistakes. In the comics, Wesley is the one that like
Cleans him up.
he's
Cleans
just
him up.
Alfred.
Yeah, he's just like
He hides the
wolf.
fact,
Yeah.
he's his version of Alfred, who hides the fact that Bruce Wayne is training children.
Yeah.
But I think he needed to die because you need to get rid of that protective armor, and now he's in the elements exposed to that wind, and it's like, now what do? So now you're comfortable, you're in your element, you have this protective shield around you, you have Vanessa who's on your side. Now we stripped Matt of everything that he loved. We stripped his love for the law, we stripped his relationship with Karen, we broke up his relationship with Foggy. We gotta do the same thing to put them on equal footing.
Plus,
True.
it does things for Karen's journey too.
Yeah.
So, did we want to take some questions from the
Yeah.
audience? And, testing, okay.
Questions from the audience?
I don't think this mic is working, but I think this is a small enough room that we can all hear each other, right?
Yeah.
Somebody yells
Yell
from the back.
quietly.
Okay.
So
Testing,
you mentioned
testing.
the
We just pushed the arm button.
Wasn't turned on.
Okay, there we go.
So you mentioned the comics, and I do find that a little interesting. Do you think Kingpin's characterization in the comics shifted in any ways post MCU? Do you think?
I don't think so. I think they played well off each other. I think because of how Vincent D'Onofrio plays him, we're getting our closest representation to the Kingpin that appears in the comics, specifically because I love the run within the Chip Zdarsky run that just ended. And I think we really get, and I don't think if they casted anyone else, we wouldn't have the Kingpin that we have in the Daredevil shows that is as close to the comic representation as it is.
I will say I love Vincent D'Onofrio's portrayal. I don't think this Kingpin will work in a Spider-Man universe
No.
because this is such a ground level thing, and Spider-Man is already grown to the point where he's no longer the friendly neighborhood spider. I mean, and there's something in the comic books that I've always wanted to see is when he takes a run at Peter and hits Aunt May.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and he brings him to prison.
Yeah.
and yanks him up by his chest skin.
Waxes that
Chest
ass.
skin.
Oh.
Like, not even he yanks him up by his chest skin and says, "I can put wet fluid down your throat right now and kill you."
Yes.
But I just want you to. He made him look. He just wanted to make him look weak in there.
Yeah.
Like that's all he wanted to do. But he was like, "Just remember, I can do this at any time."
At any point, because people don't realize that Spider-Man's been holding back this entire time.
Yeah.
Apparently, he can run 200 miles per hour, which I think is a lie. But okay.
Little much.
An interesting Kingpin and Spider-Man story is it was either Amazing Spider-Man 197 or 198, but it's Vanessa has had it with, like, Vanessa is kind of not all about the crime stuff in the comics. She's
Yeah.
like, you
Right.
know, like, oh, Wilson, when are you gonna stop being a crime lord and take me to the opera, like that stuff. So there's comics, she's like, all right, you have 24 hours to decide if, like, if you're gonna be my husband or the Kingpin. She's like, I'll be back here at midnight tomorrow, you make your decision. So Kingpin takes us as, all right, I'm picking my wife, but that means I have 24 hours to do whatever I want. And like, so
That's logical.
so he fights Spider-Man, and Kingpin wins. And it's like 11:59. He's about to kill Spider-Man, and then Vanessa comes in, and she's like, "All right, I'm ready." And he's like, "Ah!" And then he lets Spider-Man go, and like he was about to kill him. He's like, "All right, Vanessa, I choose you." And then they go off into the sun, and that was his last like appearance until he became a Daredevil villain in the Frank Miller run. You know, like they took him off the board for a while. And in fact, at that point, he was just the Kingpin. Like they had never given him like a name. He's not called Wilson Fisk for the first time until Frank Miller's Daredevil run, which is it's really awkward. Like when you like read those issues, because everyone's like, "What do you think, Mr. K?" or like something like that.
I just want to point out the hypocrisy that she wants him to quit the crime fighting, yet still want to go to the operas. Like, how do you think this is being paid for?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to start going to the movies and eating McDonald's, I'm gonna keep doing
Well,
this.
she has a job. You know, it's not like she doesn't make her own money, or does she just like quit her job when she's with Wilson in the comics?
First of all, that is money laundering front. Okay, he is buying those paintings and filtering the money out through his subsidiaries. We know this is what this is. Okay, it is a front.
Because I feel like Vanessa, when he met her in the art gallery and she was like, yeah, some guys actually try buying the place out, and he says a woman who can be bought isn't worth having. Like I feel like Vanessa is the kind of woman who's smart enough to keep her own job and keep her own money. I don't think she gets together with Wilson and is like, here, take my bank account. I mean, if you were, you know, dating a guy like Wilson, wouldn't you like make sure your money's safe? Like, because I mean, he has a professional money laundering guy. Like, keep your money away from that dude.
If you were dating somebody like Wilson, you might want to check to make sure that you're safe. So,
Yeah, and she's smart enough to bring the gun to the dinner date. You know, she's not some wilting flower.
No, in the comics, she's the one that kills their son, Richard, because Richard tried to take a hit at his dad. So
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, you don't do that. You don't. At this point, this is like the 2000s. Like, she's not like the same character from that Spider-Man comic who's like, I hate crime. You know, like this is decades later. She's like, I'll do some crime. I'll kill my son.
Yeah, because in the Daredevil TV series, at the end, I felt like it was a little bit Godfather with her making suggestions about what should be done, and he's like, yeah, carry out her orders.
well, I think at that point, that just shows that she's assimilating into her role. And if she's going to be a part of his life, she has to be a part of his life. There's no halfway in or out of this. Because if he gets caught, she goes down as well. She can't say, oh, I didn't know that.
Well,
You know,
she's taking the place of Wesley, basically. Like, she's becoming his new right hand. Like, and it makes me wonder, in Born Again, is she gonna start doing cleanup for him?
Because I kind of felt like she was setting herself up so that if Wilson gets arrested, she's the new head of the organization.
Or just to have continuity. I mean,
Yeah.
and if something does happen to Fisk, she doesn't want it to be like just a free for all. Like everybody trying to yank pieces away like it's a like hyenas at a carcass. Just
Yeah.
like, you know.
Because I think they have the same moral compass, like, and I use air quotes, in terms of wanting a structure that keeps people safe in some way, but doesn't devolve an entire neighborhood, borough into chaos.
Yeah. To be clear, I do think she cares for Wilson. I don't think she would like call the police and get him arrested. I don't think she would rat on him, but I think she's smart enough to know that in his business, it's possible that he's gonna get caught and arrested, and then she can play the innocent, oh, I didn't know anything. But really, like you said, she has been very clear with him. You know, I've dated men that have felt the need to keep things from me before, and she wants to be a full part of his life and not have anything hidden from her, and she's very explicit about that, and Wilson agrees. So yeah, she would be the logical person to take over if he get sent to jail, and if she also hadn't, at the same time.
So what you're saying is he told the truth to his partner, but Matt lied to his?
Matt has issues. So,
Really?
many issues.
Well, I think Matt comes at it from a perspective of he knows what can happen if people find out he's Daredevil. Most people can suspect what kind of person Fisk is, but if people if Fisk's organization find out Matt is Daredevil, they do later, it puts so many more people at risk than just...
Yeah, I get why Matt took so long to tell Karen. I can't really justify why he took so long to tell Foggy. Like, that Foggy had to find out like that. I felt so bad for him, because Foggy's an amazing bestie.
I never liked
and
Foggy.
can hold his own. And really?
I do not like Foggy.
I'm talking about TV series Foggy.
Yeah. He
I
is
think-
just like a fart in the room. Like,
No.
I'm just gonna throw it
Team
out
Foggy.
there that
Matt, you should eat your vegetables.
I get why Foggy's mad at him for lying to him. Like, I get why Matt just doesn't tell everybody everything about himself the second he meets them, and he just lets people have their own assumptions, and he's got a great cover, because who would suspect he has these abilities? Like, that totally
Well, I
makes sense
also-
to me, but he's been besties with Foggy for so long, and that Foggy had to find out like that. I understand why he was
Well, I
upset.
think he knows what the dangers of organized crime are. Look what happened to his father. If he says, I'm this person and I'm fighting these people, it definitely is going to put someone like Foggy at risk, because he's a soft boy. Like Karen has proven that she will kill if she's about to be killed. Foggy...
Which Matt didn't know.
Yeah, but Foggy's not going to do that. But you can read it more in how Karen carries herself, I feel. And you don't get that feeling with Foggy.
I'm just gonna throw it out that Matt's healthiest romantic relationship in live action was with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And there was like no lies, no secrets, and they'd smile when they get together.
I love that walk of shame. That was awesome.
That
so
wasn't
good.
a walk of shame. That was a walk of triumph.
That was a strut. And also,
Yeah.
I don't believe in walks of shame. If you're leaving after, what happened between them, you're just going to be strutted, because he's happy. He's thrilled.
Yeah.
There is no shame in that man.
And he got to go to the family barbecue,
Yeah.
at the end.
He was clearly wearing protection with the helmet and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, what would that baby be like? It's like a gamma radiated, hyper sonar Daredevil Hulk baby.
That would be Danger Town. But I think also one of Matt's things with not telling people and with Kingpin finding out is partly him having to explain that, no, I am blind, I have these other senses, and I think it's going to be hard for the people in his life to also understand that, because he has to be yes, I have these super senses, but I'm still extremely disabled. You wouldn't want me behind the wheel of a car.
I don't know. I mean, it's seeing with extra steps, because when we see the vision, and I'm going back to the it looks like it's like sonar that he can actually see the outlines.
Yeah, but you can't read.
And he
Well,
can't.
I think in the comics I've heard that somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that in the comics they show that he can touch. In the comics, I've heard they show that he can touch, print, and read it with his
Yes.
fingers.
he
It's
has,
harder than
he
the
has
but he can do it.
He has hypersensitivity in the comics, and he can do it to an extent in the show. But that's not the same thing as being able to see something. There is this really poignant moment in the comics where he briefly, for a short time, gets his vision back, and as it's going away again, the last thing he wants to see is Foggy's face, so he knows what his best friend actually looks like.
So as a bit of a note to all of that, I will say there is a very funny scene in the early Daredevil comics where he does have to drive a car, and it's
Yes!
complete chaos.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wouldn't want to do that regularly, because he can, if he had this notebook in front of me, he could read it with his fingers, but that doesn't mean he can read a speed limit sign.
Oh, he can just yell
Do you want to
loudly.
see that scene in Ward again?
I would like
Who
to
wants to see Matt drive in Ward
If
again?
he screams loud enough, the echo will hit it, and then it'll give an outline, and then the heat signature will tell him.
He's not
And I'm just
Batman.
like, look, okay, no.
In fairness, he's probably better than most drivers on I-75.
Definitely take that much though.
He might be a better
It's a very low bar.
Wait, do you know what the driving test of Atlanta is? Crank the car. Congratulations. That will point to something in the
And
comics.
it's New York City. Who drives?
Yeah, nobody.
Spider-Man doesn't.
Right,
That's
exactly.
because Spider-Man is poor. Okay, he doesn't take the subway because he's poor.
Any other questions or
Wilson's always
speculations
got
about what might happen in Born Again, or what you would like to see in Born Again with this?
Okay, I have not read any Born Again spoilers.
Oh, I'm talking about like what people would like to see, not
Oh, okay.
necessarily spoilers.
I don't know if there are spoilers out there. I haven't read them, is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
all right.
I would actually like to see, like we were talking about, Vanessa becoming Wesley in a sense, because he's gonna need one.
Yeah.
And I think that since Echo's not coming to stand by his side to help him out or to take over the city, he definitely needs somebody to be that right hand. So the logical choice is Vanessa, and I really see him. I want to see the manifestation of him manipulating Matt into helping him, and how he's going to get Matt to do things that he doesn't want to do, or just to see how the dominoes fall in order for him to gain power. I'm really looking forward to that.
I want to see, and he's already been announced, so this is not a spoiler. I want to see the what happens when Frank comes back, because honestly, Frank Castle was one of the best additions to that series. As the scene with him and Matt on the roof stands out as one of my favorite scenes out of all the Netflix shows, because having them have that moral dilemma on top of the roof is one of the best outlines between two superheroes that we've gotten so far. So I would love him to come back, and the fact that what does he call him, Red? He calls him.
Yeah, he calls him Red, like something like that. Anything?
For Born Again, I just want to be entertained. I'll be honest. It's like, I don't need anything in particular. I just, I'm glad that these people are back. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this whole mayoral campaign thing, because we are in a much different place politically than we were when the Netflix series happened, and I don't want to step on too many landmines, talking about that, but it's hard.
Oh, there are going to be landmines all over.
Yeah.
That. I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna. I can't wait to see the political ads that he puts forth. I mean, you have to understand that he has the pulse of the underground at his fingertips, so he knows whoever he's running against, he knows everything about them. So either he gets them to drop out, or he puts out a commercial, gets someone to put out a commercial that exposes everything that they've ever done, or everything that
That
they're trying
person's
to
life
hide.
is ruined.
Yeah.
That person's gonna wake up after being drugged, like next to a dead prostitute or something.
Next to a bag of Hardee's.
I think
They
it'll be
have a beef and
interesting.
cheddar on their face, like, ugh, I'm so gross.
I think it'll be interesting to see with what they, because of the political ads like you brought up, I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with how he typically handles embarrassment. Because if he gets embarrassed from one of those ads, all bets are off, like with how he would handle that, I think.
Well, the biggest question I have for Born Again, and no spoilers or anything, just the dynamic between Karen and Foggy. If you're familiar with the comic books, you guys know what's coming. And if they're actually going to deep dive into the situations with them and how they're going to handle it. Because as you've seen in the series, there's some things they leave out, some things they skip over for brevity's sake. But some of this stuff is actually pivotal to the story itself. So how are they going to navigate those waters?
I like that the live action version of Matt, Karen, and Foggy though is different than in the comics.
Yeah.
It's not like this over dramatic love triangle. Like you get the sense that because in the very, very old Daredevil comics, like the first few years by Stan Lee, it was like Karen was their secretary and they were both in love with her, and but she didn't know if Matt loved her back, and it was just angst. But in the live action stuff, it's treated more as equals, and you get the sense that Foggy is a little sweet on Karen, but he's not oh, she's paying attention to Matt, I'm gonna sit by the window and mope
Gaze and sob.
and mope for 20 pages,
Well, he did date that other lawyer for a while.
Yeah.
Marcy.
Marcy.
I wonder if he can see how I feel. He can't see nothing, sweetheart.
Yeah, exactly. It's but I like that it's the trio of them, like the relationship between, and I don't even need anything romantic to happen between this version of Matt and Karen. I know that like it already did, and we have that, but you know, I like that she's more than just like the secretary that she was in the comics, like, and she's more proactive and helping them. And
Well, it'll also be interesting to see if Fisk uses the fact that Karen murdered someone against like anyone in this upcoming season, because he knows what she did.
I'm interested. I'm also interested to see how cameo happy they're going to get, because I mean they have potential to either be just go all out or just kind of narrow it down to a few, because we know Frank Castle's going to be in there, but there is a link where they can bring in Luke Cage, they can bring in Jessica Jones,
They can bring in the Vulture.
they could bring in.
Bring
I mean,
in She-Hulk
really,
again
Yeah,
for
they
a
could
night.
they could literally bring She-Hulk in again. They could bring Jigsaw back. I mean, there's a whole lot. I'm really hoping. Even though I am a sucker for fan service, I'm a sucker for seeing people that just pop in. I really want them to narrow it.
I think the only people I would like, as much as I love She-Hulk and Daredevil as a ship, as a relationship, I hope they just keep it to the street level defenders, because I think Luke and Jessica and also the Punisher.
Danny.
No.
Sorry.
I love the comedic time. Just no, like the tone,
Jerry's like the
everything.
Meg of the MCU. Every time someone says, "Can we get Danny Rand?" Like, shut up, Meg.
No.
I think keeping it to those specific, like, street level people who understand what's going on in that neighborhood and what it could mean if Wilson Fisk gets into power would be the best for the narrative.
But I still think a big name needs to be dropped. In all honesty, I think Oscorp is going to be dropped in this as well, just to
That'd be
give some kind of a
interesting.
link.
Yeah.
Well, Oscorp doesn't exist in this universe, according to what Norman said in No Way Home.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it can't exist in the future. There could be a new Oscorp, but like, because he said, like, I looked around, there's no Oscorp here, or something like that.
You also could have been lying.
That too.
Yeah.
Did we have more questions from the audience? Or just topics or questions, things you'd like to discuss?
On the subject of the Matt, Karen, and Foggy thing, you guys were talking about their relationship earlier. I had a comic story that I was going to bring up during that discussion that you guys might appreciate. So, Spider-Man, in this old comic, like Silver Age old, he thinks that Daredevil's a bad guy, and he like tracks Daredevil down to the offices of Nelson and Murdoch, and he sees Matt, Karen, Foggy. He's like, okay, Daredevil's not the blind guy. It's not the woman, so he just beats up Foggy. Like, I know you're Daredevil. Well, he realizes later Daredevil's a good guy, blah blah, and he realizes, oh, Foggy wasn't Daredevil, it's Matt. I'm gonna write him a letter and let him know that his secret is safe. And Spider-Man mails the letter to the offices of Nelson and Murdoch. So Foggy and Karen are like reading this letter like, dear Daredevil, you know, like, I know you're Matt Murdock, but don't worry, I won't blow your secret identity.
That's not even the dumbest part about that whole thing.
Oh, no.
The dumbest part about this is halfway through the Foggy ass whooping, he didn't realize this guy can't fight.
So like, Matt comes in and Karen and Foggy are like, hey, why is Spider-Man writing a letter saying you're Daredevil? And Matt says, all right, it's time I come clean with you. I have a secret twin brother. And he's Daredevil. And Foggy's like, I have been your roommate for years. I've like known you since you were a teenager. You never mentioned a twin brother. And he's like,
He was in prison.
he's the shame of the family. Anyway, he's Daredevil. And they're like, well, when are we going to meet him? And he's like, I'll be right back. And he puts on a new pair of glasses. He comes in acting like Michelangelo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's like, Mike Murdock. This went on for years. This was years. And Matt and Foggy, or Karen and Foggy are always like, oh, Matt, you just missed Mike. Oh, that's a shame. And they never caught on. And then he got tired of it one day, so he like he pretended to kill his twin brother off and said, oh, there's a new Daredevil now. He's like coming in the office and Foggy and Karen are crying like, we miss Mike so much. And Matt's like, huh? Why are you guys sad? And then Karen's like, that was your brother. Why are you not? That's a messed up guy.
Well, and then years later, Mike gets retconned into existence, and it's so
through magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Mike became real later through magic, but like this was not like a one issue. This went on for like years. And it makes Karen and Foggy look so stupid because like Matt's constantly like, I'll be right back, and then like comes in as Mike, like wearing different glasses and then Karen's dating both of them. It's really weird.
I will say is because so far I've liked every incarnation has been Vincent D'Onofrio except for one, and that would be in Hawkeye. And one, I'll say the only reason I didn't like him in Hawkeye was one, the shirt. It just threw me off, and when he got beat up, he felt so undignified. I was like, I can't even root for you anymore.
I mean, it was a comic accurate shirt. I mean, he did wear a shirt in the comic.
Like, granted that I'm talking about the undignified way he got beaten.
Yeah, I mean, I can't defend that. I mean,
yeah. At that point, they should have just made him fart on himself and just capped it off that way. It's like, just go and complete the entire cycle.
So
this is Key West shirt.
how do we think, like, do we think any other, like, aside from the Defenders, is there any, like, mild cameo? I know we don't want to go ham, that we have maybe Fisk run into, like, someone from the universe villain-wise that you think Fisk is going to end up talking to in Born Again? Or what would you like to see? Like, who would you like to see him interact with?
Well, I'm guessing any cameos would be part of setting up a future limited series or movie, right? Or are we talking about cameos that are just like one-off fan service but don't
Maybe
really
not fan
lead
service,
anywhere?
but do you think there'll be anything leading into Thunderbolts, given who the Thunderbolts lineup is going to be with in relation to Wilson Fisk?
so you're saying maybe Val shows up?
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I'm thinking. Do you think Val would show up because of her nature and the similar nature character-wise to Fisk in some ways?
I think Hell's Kitchen is kind of beneath Val's notice. She's more bigger picture.
Well, we see Fisk, we know Fisk is going to be mayor, 99% sure. And mayor of New York is a power position. And so I think there would be incentive for someone like Val.
But that's state level politics. I feel like Val, I don't know, I feel like she would view all of that stuff as like beneath her, like a New York mayoral race, like, you know, she's all about the international and like the Washington DC and the power brokering and stuff and the espionage world.
Well, if Fisk does some things y'all talk about, he gets information on him, he may become winner or mayor. How many of those sort of lead into Washington?
Well, yeah, because in the comics, he ends up running for senator, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so he ends up like developing more and more power as his story goes on, and we can see that in season 1 of Daredevil and what we've seen so far of Born Again.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see Val coming up and saying, "Congratulations on your win. You should
Here's-
probably stay here instead of trying to get further along with your political career."
Yeah.
I think this is your ceiling. Trust me, and then walks out.
Yeah, I think the Daughters of the Dragon will also make their appearance somewhere
Yeah.
between here, especially with Misty Knight being on the force. Side note, when you mentioned the Thunderbolts, I'm just not looking forward to that. It's like 5 people that do the same thing.
Because, as I said in the last panel, the Ed Brubaker run of the Winter Soldier is my love and joy, and like I have thoughts depending on how it's gonna go. Like,
Well, I'm curious about the new outfit. Like, I'm not familiar with all the different outfits he's had in the comics, but you know, the ketchup and mustard bold color scheme,
It's
you know, the
complicated.
yellow and red, like.
well, that's his.
I'm curious to see if he'll have one or more new costumes for Born
There-
Again.
There is a still, I believe, that was just released of him opening a closet, and there's a lineup of different outfits, and I believe there are his different levels of armor depending on who he's gonna go.
Oh,
try
so
to-
he's not keeping it in a trunk anymore. It's like in a closet, like
Yes.
lawyer suit, Daredevil outfit.
No, it's more like
just in there
open
in
it
the
up and
closet.
like Like
Like a
look
secret
little-
panel in
Yeah,
there.
slide.
I think that other outfit was just his like San Francisco, thing. When he's in New York, he's got to stick with the Reds. Plus, we're supposed to be evoking the feel of the original Netflix show,
Yeah.
and I think it's a no-brainer to have him in the red outfits.
I think it's copyright infringement. So, like, in certain areas, he can only wear the certain colors, just like Spider-Man has to be Night Monkey when he's in another place. So, yeah, that's what it is.
Exactly. When Daredevil's in like this time zone, it's the red suit. When he's in Pacific time, it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah, when he
yellow
goes to
suit.
Canada, it's white and red.
Yeah.
Do you think he's gonna go visit She-Hulk, or he just never ever leaves Hell's Kitchen?
I think bringing bringing Matt into the She-Hulk series was a lot easier than it would be to bring She-Hulk into Daredevil. I think they would have to take a more serious tone with how she's written. And I loved She-Hulk. Like, I loved She-Hulk, but I have to acknowledge that bringing her into another series is going to be difficult.
I think you can do it if you like. First of all, she's not in her Hulk form, but it could be a situation where like Matt's having a conversation with her, lawyer to lawyer,
Yeah.
and you bring Tatiana on, and she has a more grounded approach. She doesn't break the fourth wall, and she's like not green. And I think that's if he like talks to her lawyer, the lawyer, or just like mentions like, oh yeah, this is a friend from San Francisco, or has a phone call with. I think that could work tonally,
Well, to be fair, I don't know how many people have actually been in New York. Hell's Kitchen is only 5 blocks.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Yeah.
not that big, which is why it puzzles me that Matt has this much hard time over 5 blocks.
He is blind.
Yeah.
I keep smelling the same garbage. Like, what is this?
That's why he keeps on running into
2
Turk.
minutes.
It's like, oh, Turk again. Like,
So with our last 2 minutes, are there any questions, comments, things like yeah?
Do you think he'll wear the red, like the T-shirt that he said that has "I'm not Daredevil"?
That was
on
my
it?
first Matt Murdock cosplay.
She said, will he wear the T-shirt that says "I'm not Daredevil"?
I think that would be more likely to happen if we got a second season of She-Hulk, because it's actually a Christmas sweater and he's holding a candy cane as his blind cane.
And at that point, he was publicly outed as Daredevil,
Yeah.
but he was denying it. So that
Yeah.
was him like leaning into like, no, I'm not.
It was a tee-hee.
Yeah, but he later admitted it and
Yeah.
like somehow didn't go to jail for like and like lose his law license.
He does go to jail in the Chip Zdarsky run, and that
Yeah.
is like a really fast, like really good arc though. It's played very seriously.
And that's like the second time he's been to jail, isn't it?
Yes, he's been he's been to jail more times than the people he's represented. Yes, that's true.
He's a very good lawyer.
That's because he's a damn good lawyer.
You catch a break. Okay.
So, any comments about Wilson Fisk? What are your folks' thoughts on Wilson Fisk with like our last minute?
What was that?
I said it was love him.
Love him. I love him too.
I mean, if you hated him,
Yeah,
it'd
it's
be weird that
perfect
you can't
casting.
stand
Well, I don't know. Like coming to a panel about a character you hate could be fascinating because it could
Yeah,
turn.
that happens.
You just sit in the back with your arms crossed, like I'm here, but I'm not gonna like it.
No, you can do that at your computer and yell
My
at the
opinion,
internet.
I hate him.
He sucks. Why does he have to
Matt
be so
Murdock
tall?
is like saying in the back of this panel, like, I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy.
What-
I just
Matt
think-
Murdock- Matt Murdock would be facing the wall, first of all.
Exactly.
Personally, he's my favorite because I think he is one of the most relatable villains we have in the MCU TV verse as well as the movies, but also within the comics. I think he's just, you can see what he's trying to do and where he's coming from, which you don't necessarily get with other characters, aside from Magneto.
I gotta push that back. I'm sorry, the most relatable person is the Vulture. That man,
Tell us about the Vulture.
literally doing contract work until Iron Man comes, scoops it up, puts his company out of business, and forces him into crime.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. The charity budget is in the back. Important thing, if you want more stuff like this, rate us 5 stars in the app, please. If you love the panel, rate us 5 stars. If you hated it, give us an ironic 5 stars.
This panel was so great.
Use like 12
The
O's.
panelists were so knowledgeable.
Use
The
like
discussion
12
was
O's.
so engaging.
And if there's something you didn't like, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Ceremonial
character.